Nothing happened. Welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream for Ustream and also for YouTube, to record for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. I'm drawing some of my own designs that I've been drawing for 40 years. The original bunny designs, and watercolouring on a napkin. And with those two things, it's going to give me some nice images to journal on a Bible. Now this, using Indian ink in my .25 Rotring isograph pen, and it's showing through, but this is the test page. It's showing through, but it's not bleeding through. So that's not bad, and this is permanent Rotring Indian ink. And this is a fine pen as well. Probably if it was a great big chunky thing it might not work, but it's a fine pen. And so I keep having I'm going to have a quick look at, I sometimes forget what my design looks like and it alters, so I thought I'd draw a few down and I can pick something for a centre and it'll look quite nice. That's an original one. So that's just to keep me occupied. Because I've started a new channel, Bunny Designs Creative Bible Journaling, and I have hopefully inspire creative Bible journaling book, Bible coming in a couple of days. But this is a beautiful one I got from Selby Abbey, and I want this one to just have my own designs, because the idea is I will read a passage and I will create, I will doodle my design to fit whatever I want. And I've also designed, which I don't think I've got a picture of, I've also designed a letter set to go with this. So it looks very similar to this, just playing with it. So I don't think I have a photocopy. I just started this and then I've been really ill for a long time, so everything's kind of got on the back burner, but that was kind of how it was going. So the word, and because I've got the Kuretake Gansai Tabi watercolour in my little book of colours, because I will be working from my little book, the colours will be all Derwent watercolour pencils, because they're very pastel and they don't bleed through, they don't show through, they just sit lovely. But the gold in the Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolour is the best I've ever seen for lettering. I thought it was at the back. There it is. So I can do some lettering when I'm away from my little book, and that's one of the best gold I've ever seen. And I just thought I would pop that into there just to make sure things were safe. And I'm just doodling my own design, because I kind of think it's time I did that. So I've kind of zoomed in a little bit, and then I say I want to pick something that I always like that one. So I'm going to try and get these on my website so people can download them, trace them and cut them out as a template. I'll just trace them and colour them in. Because I want, and I think they lend themselves quite well to Bible journaling, because they're small enough to fit into small spaces, so you don't touch or go over the words if you don't want to. And I think I might just do this one. I think I like that one, but I don't like it that way up. I'm trying to be a little bit careful, because obviously this is how it's going to be. So she have made a mistake already, but never mind. So I could leave it like that. I need something to go in the middle here. So I'm probably going to put this particular one. I like this one in that section, but I do have to turn it around because I'm left-handed and I don't really want to make too many mistakes with this one. I'd like it to be quite nice if it could be. I want to do this one. I've just seen it and it's disappeared again. Not that one. Quite like that one. No, I don't like that one. How strange. I can't find the one I want there. I think that's quite nice. Quite like that one. This paper doesn't want to lie flat on this last one, but this is a practice, so if it goes goo-goo, it's fine. I can live with it. I can glue it to the other side of the page and it's fine. So thanks for stopping in, guys, and I say welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is the and then remember something like this one there. So again, I've kind of just gone off and done my own thing, but again, this is quite nice because this is what I think Bible journaling is thinking of reading a passage and thinking of something. And although this is just a practice page, this is how I intend to kind of carry it out, is just to kind of have a bit of a doodle and a play. And then there's one on the top there. And I must admit, these pens, I've been drawing with them again for 40 years and they are amazing. Actually, not quite 40 years, I tell fibs. 38 years. So I've left it for a minute or two, but it doesn't really have to dry. And then I can just go straight in, just a slurp of cold tea. I don't tell hubby, I let it go cold again. So I do like the Inktense pencils and all the others, but I really do. I have the full set of the pencils. I mean, you can have the beautiful teals, or you can have proper green floral colours, whichever you like. And I have no idea what colours to do this first page. I'm probably going to stick with these I'm probably going to stick with this one, actually. Wait a minute. Decisions. I normally was painting with this one, but I think I'm going to use the famous 3 brushes again. I'm going to go for the 3 brushes. And again, I've got a little water pot. Because you're working quite dry, or you're working very dry, you need a piece of kitchen paper every time you've got to take the water off. And so if I pop that there, you can see what I'm choosing. So that's, if you can see, everybody can see that. Probably going to start with the middle one actually. I should have done a practice. So again, this is for very dry. So you take your water and you dunk. I use this, the same method as before, dunking in the whole brush, working fairly quickly and twisting it on a paper towel. That is now dry enough to do that. It's a damp, wet baby wipe for the colouring books, but for something that's really dry, and I'm going to go for geranium because I just love the geranium. And the way I work with this book is I am just stroking a small circle, and because I haven't done this for a while, I'm just going to start at the top and just stroke that colour in there. And because this is Indian ink, it shouldn't. Is that too wet? And we'll see. I'm probably going to go with a smaller brush, I think. In fact, I think I'm going to go with the fine number 10. Go back to the number. I used this when I did the other one. So again, dumped the brush, twisted most of the colour off so it's only damp, activated the colour. I'm just going over that again because I'm not happy with that. That brush was a little bit too wet. So I'm dunking the colour, and now I want I now need a lemon would be nice there. So again, dunking that into there. And I'm going for deep cadmium yellow. And you can tell what's on your brush. You can tell. If you drag too much, you will go over the line because your brush will skip. And like before, you can touch it and it's dry. So this is really, really dry. This is, oh, I've done the wrong colour there. I was going to do this one, but never mind. So you're just stroking that colour onto there. It is crinkling. It is crinkling. The first one didn't crinkle, but the others did. So. But this is a practice page. If it doesn't do that, I'll have to put the and that's a little bit wet. I can feel that's wet. And the brush has just got a kink on it, so it's just not sitting right. That's better. You do have to concentrate a little bit. Yeah, it's not crinkling now. It's doing better than it was. It's doing better than it was. So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream. And I've never done this before. It's I'm going to actually, I think I might just swap brushes. I'm going to try something else. So we'll have a nice green. Not sure I've got enough colour on there or not. Yes, it's not the rigger, it's the other brush. The riggers are too damp. So you need the colour on. And oops, it's probably just not enough. Because it needs to be able to touch and dry straight away. Not sure if I'm bothered about crinkles. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a kind of soft way of working. So you kind of in that zone, you kind of you're kind of doing your Bible studying through your art, and so you're kind of in a different zone than you would be if you were throwing paint at a canvas kind of thing, if that makes any sense. I'm using Derwent watercolour pencils that I've scribbled into my little book of watercolours. So I've got all 72. So I could, this is Cedar Green number 50. I don't like these colours I'm using, actually, I have to say. I've kind of gone off the planet a bit because I'm concentrating. Oops, sorry, back alert. There's nobody there, it's just the doors. But I'm having a play. But I suppose if I try every single colour, I'll know how they react. There's the. But you need to use the pencils from. You need to use them from a paper palette. Oops, paper palette. It won't work if you use them straight from there because it'd be too wet. Oh yes. I think Emma comes on about 3 o'clock, didn't she? Emma screens at 3 o'clock, I think. So this is quite nice to kind of sit and do. And it's a bit darker, that colour. I don't know whether I wanted to do paler colours, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I wanted to do. But it's nice to play with these colours. These are kind of different colours, so it's nice to play with these. If you just get too dry, you can't drag that colour. You've just got to get it right, and you've got to practice on a page. There's no getting away from it, really. There's no getting away from it. You just have to practice on a page. And I do have some Prisma pencils, but I don't think I can use them because my hands won't work. So I've got to struggle with this and make this work. And as I will only be using the margins anyway at both sides, it should be fine. It should be fine. But there's something nice about doing your own designs in something. I didn't think the Derwent pencils were bright. It's the Inktense ones that are really bright. Having said that, French Ultramarine is. But if you can see on here, this is why it works. There's a paper palette, and then I've kind of made a damp circle, and I've run it up and down, and so I've got the first dark colour to pale. So there's about 10 colours there. So these pale colours are quite nice. And that's what I'm kind of aiming for, is a paler colour. So Sheen, I don't think I've got a paler colour. So the darker ones will show through, and the Inktense one, because that's what they did on the Hobonichi, the fake Hobonichi I made with the pencil. But the nicest thing about doing small designs is it's crinkled a little bit, but it's not too much. But I have seen somebody iron this, just in a watercolour and just ironed. So yeah, I'll try ironing it in a minute when I've done it. I mean, these colours, I'm just having a play with these colours. I mean, again, it's not working as I thought it would. It's not working as I thought it would, but there's a lot of pale colours in here. I mean, this is Violet Lake number 27. That's quite pale, and next to it is light violet. So there are some pale colours, and so that will be quite nice because there'll be pastel, what we call pastel colours, and I think they're quite nice, especially for my designs. You can use bright colours, but you can also use others as well. You have to excuse my stomach. I've only had a yogurt today, so it's. See, this is a lovely colour. I quite like this colour. And because it's not a real flower, I don't have to stick to flower colours. I can make my own up, which again is really nice. And it's not too bad. It's not perfect. Would you like me to try an Inktense block? In here, I put my Inktense blocks somewhere. I think. Methinks. Well, those are the where did I put the Inktense blocks? I'm pretty sure 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I'm pretty sure those are my Inktense blocks. And all I've done is scrub them in. Now, if I touched them, they would rub. But hopefully I've got a little bit more control, because they're on a paper palette. So if we do this little one, I just went through all my stash, and anything that was water-based went in here. So they're probably about the same. But they are darker, so of course they're intense. I mean, I have used Inktense. It's just for the Bible. I was just going to use, I mean, the colours would be lovely, but you know, I've got 72 colours here. I've got 72 colours. I'm just thinking, where are my Inktense blocks? I think they're in the back of here. Just put 2 seconds to see if I can find. Okay, if I shut this drawer and not forget the telephones there. Right, let's have a look. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yes, I'm pretty sure that those. Perhaps not. Right, so I'll make a paper palette. Oh, I don't have to make a paper palette. I can just touch. You don't have a lot of control when you do this, really. That's too wet, really, there. Sorry, it's feeding time at the zoo. So that one is the pinky one. So it's just showing through, it's damp, but I think that's because it was a bit damp. But that's not bad for a page. I wouldn't do it where the words, not over the words, but in the margin it would probably be fine, because on the other side you could do something else. But if I take this out and scribbled it, so this is how I use them. It's on a paper palette now. And I don't use those because normally I can't open the tin. So I'm going to just activate that with water. And colour this in. So they are lovely and bright, these colours. So a little bit wet, but not too bad. I think that would disappear if it dried. I'm pretty sure that would disappear. It was a little bit wet. You need to have quite a lot of control, and you only have that with a paper palette. So if I do this little one here. Could you shut the door, darling, please? So we tease the colour out. It's very, very, very dry. My animals don't like the rain. They're old. So yeah, just because I think of it's the Inktense, you know, it's bold, but it's not too bad. You know, it's not too bad. Hi Judy, welcome to Buddy's Designs. What else have I missed? Suzanne, Dorothy. I've said hi to everybody. But I mean, all the ones that are in my little book, there's I mean, if you want, because now I've not ruined it, but I've changed the first page was a practice anyway. We could have a look at to see what happens when we use, and again, this is quite a dry brush. I just really like the colours of the Derwent, and the pigments are so lovely. And so that's a professional watercolour. I think that one is. That one's cadmium red, and I think it's the Senelia. It's from the pans. So there's not much difference between them, except for the Derwent, you can't even see them. The Derwent's at the top. Well, I tried the rigger and it was too wet because it's damp, so I thought of that. Because what's happening with that is it dilutes the colour, and that's what happened with this one. Which one was it? The orange, the first one. It diluted the colour, so it made the page wet, but there wasn't the colour there. So these colours have to go on fairly flat. But I tried that. So we've got, I know the peerless will go through, but if we try a very pale yellow ochre, sorry, not peerless. These are, oh sorry, yes they are peerless. I think the peerless will go through because they're an ink. And they didn't quite go through, but I would think most of these wouldn't go through. The ink tends definitely show through. You see here I've got Albert Dürer. It says burnt orange. I don't know what this one is either. I don't know what they are, but you know, it's because it's a paper palette and you've got a lot of control on it. Now that is quite wet, actually, I have to say, that is quite wet. But if you can see what I'm doing, I'm making sure that it's all colour. So whatever goes on there is just pure colour. At the moment it becomes a liquid, it's going on there. So it's not saturated. Well, the damp brush will keep making it wetter. So that's why I changed. That's why I changed and it didn't work. I mean, this is a 10-0 brush. You can't get really much finer than a 10-0. And it is quite a long one, actually. It's not a shorty. So that was an ink. I think that's an Albert Dürer. Is that Faber-Castell? I think I've got a, that didn't even show through, that one. So we'll try this like a carmine colour. This probably will show through, actually. But I'm still working quite dry. Most of these colours are all worked this dry, normally. So it's nothing to do with the colour, it's just to do with the water. So they've not actually gone through, they've just shown through. So that's not so bad. And we could even try the Lagoon, which is a very, very dark, a very dark one. And I'll just do this one here. Whoops. Again, it's got to be a fine line, whereas as soon as it's going to dry, it's almost dry, it's only just a liquid, and stroke it on there, and that's the moment. And the minute it's down, it dries, and that's how dry you've got to get it. I can't even see that one. It's there. Oopsie. Oh, Alfie, it's there. And that's one of the deepest colours for the ink 10. I mean, I have you. Excuse me, you two. Thank you. And this is why I take this little book with me everywhere, because I do love the colours. And I'm not doing them quite as dry. I am getting some colour, but as I say, you can see that drying under the lamp, and the minute it's going to be dried, I'm kind of finding somewhere to use it. And I missed about, you see, so it went dry, that one. You've just got to wait for the right moment. Too wet and it will go through, and too dry, you're just teasing that colour out. It's all to do with the water, and a thin brush will do it, but the rigger will make it damper, because I ruined that one because of that. That was the first one I did, so that's why I changed. So you don't need a rigger for this, you want a short brush. Oh, and I dip that in the water as well. Silly. That sherbet lemon looks a nice colour, doesn't it? And these are Inktense. So I do know most of them don't do it, but I did think they would on the Bible page, but they haven't, so that's quite nice. We've got the tangerine colour, which I quite like. I always like this one. But you make the brush as wet as you need for the size. If you're doing something huge, you're going to need a big brush. So it's acting very much like the layout paper. So I'm sure that if I ironed it, you wouldn't even know that it had gone kind of shown through. We don't need those. These are the Derwent Graphitint, and I don't normally mix these, but I will show you Storm, because I quite like this colour. So this is Storm. These are beautiful charcoal muted pencil colours. Oh, if that made sense. Did that make sense? Now there's quite a lot of water there, so it's wrinkled. Let's turn that over, and it's here. So you can see it's wrinkled a bit, but once it's dried, it's doing quite well. Bless it, it's doing quite well. And that was quite a big area, was that? So I think the bigger the area, the crinkle. But that's why I wanted to do my small design. Get rid of my Inktober attempt. Now we have, these are Prismalo. It's a pack. And I found these Caran d'Ache classic water soluble pencils, but they're metallic, and these are in here as well, so we may as well try all of them. So these are Prismalo colours. And I've got a good swing on here, so I bet I'm off camera. Sorry, I am, aren't I? Let's see if I can get back up there a little bit. Oopsie, sorry. So again, you want to be stroking colour, not water. You want the colour mix, so it's got to be quite flat, this. Unless you did a pale one and then you went over it, but I wouldn't really think you would need to. I think it's quite nice that. I suppose there's no reason why you couldn't then put a touch of this on there if you really wanted to make the corners darker. Again, it's not bled through, it's just crinkled a little bit. So that's the Prismalo, they're in there too. Has anybody else got anything? Oh, thank you, Suzanne. Oh, hi LP. Oh, little P. Anybody else that's dropping in? So next we have Caran d'Ache Neocolor Tools, and these aren't labelled or anything, so I can't tell you what they are, but you know, there's just colours. Do that, you can see. Can you see what I'm doing? So there's the pink, and these will be quite vivid. These are quite vivid. So I'm going to do a small one because and this is quite, oh, this is very wet. But again, I've used these for years, and it's all to do with the water. Yeah, it's not shown, it's not even crinkled, that one. So we can have the blue. You've got to practice with the water, I think that's the key. That's the key. Get the water and the colour right on the brush, and then just before it's going to dry, you can go in there. Sorry, little boy wants to go out. And again, there's nothing on there, so that's new colour 2. The hydras probably won't behave themselves. These are the metallic ones that I'd found, and because the water based, they're in there as well. So these might be good for lettering. I just thought they'd be quite nice, because I think the Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolours could be a little bit too deep. Oh my word, he's such a bad puppy. So that's the Prismalo. Sorry, that's the Caran d'Ache metallic. Just bear with me 2 seconds. Alfie, what's this? Alfie, Alfie, what's this? Oh, in his own time. Pod. He's looking at me going, yes. Did we do the what do we call these? What do I call these? Faber-Castell sticks, watercolour sticks, I think they are called. I think that's gone too dry now, but tease the colour, because again, these are very vibrant. The Faber-Castell watercolour crayon sticks or something they're called. Little fat sticks. Like, they're very similar to Neocolor 2s. So basically nothing's actually gone through, it's just crinkled the page a little bit. But you're using watercolours. Excuse me. Goodness gracious. So now we've got the Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolours. And these are quite yummy, these. These are quite yummy. So I forgot to ask Emma this morning if she was streaming. Now the problem will be the bigger areas, but the Kuretake Gansai watercolours, they're in there. So you can see through, but you can't, there's no bleed through. And the same with the ink pen that I used. Having said that, don't hold it in one place. You've got to keep moving. You do the drawing, lift the pen up, do the drawing, lift the pen up. Otherwise you will get little dots, because that's where I've started and finished. And the last one we'll do the we'll do the and that's what I said about the colour, how much colour's left on here. Now this might be a bit tricky because and that looks a bit dim. These are Dr. Martin's pH, but they're from a dry dot. They are not straight onto the page. That would not work. They would go straight through. Pretty sure. So we've got all of them, and the last one is the Winsor & Newton gouache. So again, these are quite vibrant. These are quite vibrant, and I think probably I'm going to just go for it with the colours and then iron the page afterwards. I think that's probably the best way, because you want some nice flat colour. So that's gouache. So we've got about 10-15 different things in there. So that's, Nigel, that's not a good idea, darling, when I'm streaming live. Thank you. Can you just stop it? Just stop it, please. Thank you. So actually, it's all to do with the water. It's how much water you can get in. Oh, sorry, I was just worried that my husband keeps going, do you know what time it is? The other lady will want to come on. Bless him. And I said, I know she normally says, and I forgot to ask you when you were earlier. Are you streaming today? So that's actually quite good to know. It's in a proper Bible page, and I haven't done too much dabbing. Having said that, I haven't done a wash across it. But I'm really pleased that I can use my permanent ink, because obviously I've been touching water into all this this permanent ink drawing, and that would have run if it had not been permanent Indian ink. So and I think the finer one, the number 18, is so fine that actually it almost disappears. It almost disappears. I mean, there's no reason why you can't do it in pencil. But you have to be careful with pencil, because pencil will run. And this is probably the nicest one, and it's the wettest one I've just done. And I think we just have to think, which is strange because some of these crinkled and this one didn't. It's just getting that colour mixed and at the driest it could possibly be, and yet still be a watercolour. That's the knack. But if you wanted to try it, I'd buy some layout paper, because it's also good for all sorts of other things as well, to practice. Because the photocopy paper is a little bit thicker, so that wouldn't work for this, but it works for everything else. It's just working on here and working on napkins. It's just a little bit too thin. So we've got all those, and we could have a go. We may as well have a go, since we're here, with the professional watercolours. Because of course that means you can have any colour you want. You're not restricted. So I shall just get the paintbrush back again. So I'm working in the one I was using earlier to finish the little fox. And there is a nice yellow in there. So I'm using it as a dead colour. You know, I'm using it as a, not mixing it, it's the colour. And this is how you get it to be thinner. So there's only the bare minimum on there now. And we will choose that one. And I think because the pigments in here is so good, like the Japanese watercolour paints, that actually has worked quite well. Because of the pigments are so good, you need the least amount of water. So actually, professional watercolours work quite well. So that's actually good to know, because that means if I want to do a particular page with a certain colours, I can mix my colours and choose what I want to do, instead of having to choose the colour first from my little book. But it will work both ways. So we've got, but I think that would only work with really good quality paints. So I suppose that lends itself to me doing this then. And these are children's paints. So I'm just using these kiddies paints, and there's quite a lot on there, so I'm going to try and get as much off as possible. Oops, sorry about that. And this is actually quite wet, but this is a test page, so we may as well go for it. It wasn't that wet because it's the lights, so it was actually quite good, that. So these are children's paints. Oops. The problem you have is you drag, if you just don't get it wet enough, you drag it across the page, and that's when you go over your lines. So, you know, if you've just got your children's paints, you can use those. And that did go through. There is bleed through on that, but hey ho. But I would try the pound shop ones, and then I do have some pound shop ones. And that's to do with the pigment. I'm having to use more water. So that proves that that works then. It is the quality of the paints. But we'll just use these pound shop ones here and see. Because I know these are quite sticky, so these have got some kind of pigment in them. So these are not going to glide without quite a lot of water. But we can just do a small test area. And they're not the easiest things to get onto the page. Sorry, I was off the camera there. They're not the easiest thing to draw with, I have to say, to colour in. But these were £2 or £3 from Hobbycraft. These metallics. So I'll have a go at one of these. These would be quite nice for lettering. Again, you've got to kind of... It's like the Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolours. I think by the time I get to the page, it's probably dried. If it's the palette that you've got to use them from, it doesn't work, but they work out of my little book. So we've not done too much damage. The green actually didn't go through. It shows through. That's the pound shop one. Sorry, that's the children's one, the little chalky one in the little tubs. The pound shop one was down there. Is there, you can't see that one. And the silver metallic one, which is quite pretty, is that one. You can't see it, is that one. So they've all kind of worked, and they're all dry now, so I can shut that now. So I'll just show you what that looks like. So it's all to do with the brush and the water, and just having a practice. So you will have to use one of the Bible pages. I suggest the one at the back, unless you have a page at the front. So, but I'm quite impressed with using professional watercolours, because I didn't think that would work. Don't know why it shouldn't work. But, so we've got a bit of a crinkle going on there. Are you ready to stream, Emma? Do let me know, and I'll stop recording. So quite impressed with that, but I do like this, I have to say. I thought that would be difficult. So I actually quite like, I'm going to put these, I wasn't going to bother, but I'm going to put these in my little book. So I've got them with me, and I can use them for lettering. I do think, though, if I used, this is the gold and the bronze, there's silver. In fact, we get them out. This is why I don't get them out, because I spill them everywhere. These are the Gansai Tammy watercolours. These are professional watercolours, and these are gorgeous. But I can't carry this box around with me without dropping the damn thing, and they go everywhere. So we've got these, so if you pop those there. I need a bigger brush, but I don't want to brush. I'll try this. I'll try this one. It may not work, but it may do. It's a rigger, so. So we'll try the gold, and we've kind of got that going. Oh, it's going to break my heart now to get rid of that gold. But we'll do this. And there's a lot of water in there. But that's out of the pan. I'm pretty sure this is going to crinkle. Having said that, I won't bind, I can iron it. It's not going to be a problem. It's releasing a lot more water because that's what it does, you see. So now that's gone through, but that's because it's wet. Oops, you can't see that because it's wet. Oops, and I don't really want to do that, but if I get my little book, and I go to the gold, and I go back to this one here. And this is what it looks like when you put it in your book. That's exactly the same. So I'm reconstituting it back. Just use a little bit more water, because I want to get some of the gold up. Need. Again, this is a little bit stickier to use because it's got the gold in it, so it's just that little bit more difficult to use. But the silver probably wouldn't be. Right, so kick me off at past. So that's the gold. So we've got gold shiny in our Bible, and then at the back, the one from, although it's not as big, but the one from mine didn't use as much water now, hoping that's going to dry out and it won't show through. So we've got them in there, we've got all of them in there, and that's going to be lovely with lettering as well. So I'm glad I've tried that one because I wanted to see that. So I'll pop these back. I think the white goes there. I can't remember. Silver goes there. Oops. But they are beautiful watercolours, and these are professional watercolours. And it's not the things that are expensive, it's the actual shipping. I think there's a pain in the backside. I think that's the problem with that. So I'm really pleased. I've got even the Dr. Martin's Hydros went in there, so quite pleased with that. And it's not too bad, but I say I'm just going to be words and designs. Oopsie, what's to close this? I do. That's quite interesting. I don't know what that was. Never mind. So I'm quite pleased with that. So that will look quite nice. And oops, I just tipped the water up. Luckily it's got the pot on it. Put the top on this one. So I was quite pleased with that. So we've tried them all, and they're all in there somewhere. And I think it's when you want to do big things that you're going to have a problem. So I hope you found that a little bit interesting, and I should be doing that, and then hopefully going to do that in the Abbey as well. So set up my Bible journal in the Abbey. But I haven't seemed to have done any damage to it, and it will sit flat. So I can actually take my little pen and pop it in here and know that I'm not going to do too much damage to it, and it's all together. So I could make a little book like this and just keep it in the back ready for watercolouring with a little brush, and then I'd be away. But so many other things to do. So thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a pleasant day.